everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm making mofongo. I'm not just making a plain or traditional mofongo, I'm making mofongo bowls. This is something that I was inspired by from a very popular fast food chain in Puerto Rico. They came out with their mofongo bowls. They look really good online. I've seen pictures of their promos and I've seen some pictures from people that have gotten them, and I thought I can do that. It looks really good. I know I can get all of the ingredients here. It really isn't that hard to put together, so let's give it a try. So I'm making steak mofongo bowls. I have my steak right here. I have actually a pound of skirt steak. So this is my steak. There's another piece in here, it's cut. I might not end up using a whole pound. I'm just gonna season the whole thing and then use whatever I have left over for like a salad or something else. Before the actual mofongo, of course, I have one plantain. I'm only using one. If there's a lot of people in your house, you might wanna use more. I have garlic and I have pork rinds. If you've never made mofongo usually has pork in it. You can use pork rinds. This is what I can get my hands on here, or you can use the fried fat from the actual pork. I went with pork rinds. I have a couple of other things here. I have one lime and I have red onions. I'm gonna use the lime to season the steak, and then I'm gonna saute some red onions to make the bowl look more like that promo bowl from the fast food chain. I also have some chicken stock. I'm going to use the chicken stock to sort of moisten the mofongo. To keep the mofongo moist while I'm mashing it in the pilon. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to be using other seasonings, so I'll probably use adobo to make sure that everything is well seasoned. And then of course I need some oil to fry the plantain. We're gonna fry this once, and maybe a little bit of oil as well to cook the steak, not too much. But that's really it. This is very simple. I think the longest thing here is just frying that plantain and then making sure you mash it and you form the mofongo. But this should come together really quickly. It's a pretty heavy meal, so this is good for lunch. You can make a lot at once, so you can feed the entire family with this. So I guess the first thing I'm gonna do is actually season the steak, and then I'm gonna let it marinate maybe for 20 minutes. If you want to marinate this overnight, go ahead. And then once I marinate this, I'll go ahead and I'll cut my plantain, and then I'll start frying the plantain. And while I'm frying the plantain, I'll also saute the onions. All I'm doing is cutting the lime. I'm going to use the juice of maybe the entire lime. We'll see how much juice I get out of this. I'm just gonna squeeze this right on the meat. Then I'm also going to add some adobo. Just important to make sure the meat is seasoned. And this is 1 pound of meat, so you want to make sure you season it well. You don't want unseasoned meat. The only reason I guess that I'm not using garlic to marinate my meat, because I'll usually add a garlic clove or 2 in here while this marinates. But I'm not doing that because the mofongo has garlic in it, and I know the adobo has garlic powder and it has onion powder, and I'm also sauteing onions. So really, I just want to let this marinate here a little bit with that lime, the adobo, and a little bit of olive oil. And just from looking at it, I can tell I need the other lime, the other half. There's the other half. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit more adobo, and then I'll just put this to the side. I'll toss it, put it to the side, and it should be ready to go. The skirt steak cooks really fast. So yeah, this is something that we might put on the stove while we're mashing the mofongo. While that's marinating, let's go ahead and cut our red onions. This is half the onion. It really seems like it's enough, so I'm not gonna cut the other half. I'm going to start cooking the onions first because they'll probably take the longest. So what I'm doing is adding a little bit of olive oil to a pan, and in here I'm also going to add a little bit of vinegar, just 2 cups of vinegar. We want to make sure that we're seasoning everything. So to this, we're adding just a little bit of pepper. That wasn't even a part of a teaspoon. And a little bit of salt. Let's wait until that heats up. While that heats, let's start cutting our plantains. We're gonna cut the plantains the same way we do for tostones. And I did a whole video on how to cut plantains, how to peel plantains, how to make tostones. So if you need a more detailed or guided process, please go watch that video. It's all in the same video, so it's really easy for you to see. This plantain is a little bit hard to peel. I lost a little chunk of there, but that's fine. There we go. Perfect. So now we're gonna cut it the same way we cut it for tostones. This is starting to kind of boil, so I'm gonna add my onions in here. So I'm gonna keep an eye on my onions. If I notice that the oil and vinegar start evaporating, I'll just add a little bit more to the pan. So I'm adding some oil to this pot. Don't wanna use a lot of oil to just fry the tostones and to fry the plantains and get them ready for the mofongo. While I wait for the oil to heat up, I'm actually just gonna mash the 2 cloves of garlic that I'm putting into the mofongo. And I'm just doing what I do whenever I mash garlic in my pilon. I add a little bit of adobo. So the adobo is just to make sure that the garlic doesn't go flying all over the place, because it will if you don't have something to sort of keep it there kind of stuck together. Looks good. So I think the oil is hot enough now for the plantains. Now that the plantains are frying, the onions are almost done. I went ahead and I took out my iron skillet. I put this on medium-high. I'm waiting for it to warm up, but once it's warm enough, I'm gonna start cooking the steak. The plantains are almost ready to come out, but the meat is ready to go into the pan. You can hear that sizzle. That's what you want. The other piece. So this is 5 minutes flip, 5 minutes, really fast. This isn't like tostones. We're not frying these twice. We're only frying these once. So you want to make sure that you fry them long enough that they're not, undercooked. Just make sure you drain them also before you start mashing them for the mofongo. I know this is very unhealthy. There's oil in a lot of what I'm making, but if we can get rid of the excess oil, why not? If you're also wondering why I have the tostones like the furthest away from me, that's really hot oil, and if you've ever fried something, you know that oil is very temperamental. If anything splashes into it or falls into it, it'll start splashing all over the place. I don't want to burn myself, and I'm cooking a lot of things at once. So I think it's better if I'm pulling from the pan and I get oil and other things, it'll be fine. But if I'm pulling some of this and there's moisture or some water or some type of other liquid, it might make a disaster in my kitchen. So I leave the fried stuff towards the back. The onions are done. I still have them on the pan. They're just simmering. You can control how soft or how crunchy you want them. I'm flipping the meat. Ooh, that looks good. Now we can start putting together the mofongo. I'll do a zoom in of how I put everything together in the pilon. Our garlic is already in here. Well, here we have it, our final product, the Mofongo bowl. How delicious does this look? And it was really easy to put together. I was multitasking, and I think that's the best way of doing a dish like this one, because you have to prep a lot of things, a lot of ingredients at the same time. But if you're able to handle that, this comes together really fast. It smells really good. I mean, I already tasted the mofongo to make sure the seasoning was right, but it tastes really good. It looks really good. It looks better than the fast food one. I even made a little bit of mayo ketchup for it. You probably saw it. We usually eat our plantains with mayo ketchup. That was a must. And I had some leftover guacamole from the weekend, so I thought, why don't I just add the guacamole to the bowl? So we have it. This is it, our mofongo bowl. A little mofongo bowl with some skirt steak, some sauteed onions, a little bit of mayo ketchup, and then some guacamole that I had left over. If you don't have guacamole, just don't add guacamole. Maybe you add a little bit of lettuce to make it healthier. Up to you. Anyways, if you've never made mofongo, I really just made the most basic mofongo recipe. You just fry some plantains, mash it, add some garlic, add a little bit of chicken broth or stock to sort of soften it up while you're mashing, season it, and then add some pork rinds. That's it. That's how you make mofongo. So please give it a try. I'd love to see how your mofongo turns out. And if you want to go ahead and make a mofongo bowl or a mofongo plate, let me know how that turns out. Let me know what you pair with the mofongo. Mofongo goes great with meat, with chicken, with seafood. Mofongo goes great with everything. You can even make mofongo, like make it into little balls and add it to soup, and it's delicious. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how your mofongo turns out. Let me know in the comments. And if you follow me on Instagram, feel free to tag me. My Instagram is my same name as YouTube, Made to Eat by Jess. So I'd love to see pictures of how your meal turned out. If you're subscribed to my channel, thank you. If not, but you're liking the content and you've enjoyed my recipes, feel free to subscribe, like, and share. Bye.